Hello everyone, welcome to the 20th episode of Experience Matters in Life Beyond Business, and today we are with none other than the founders of Datavio. Both Mayank and Kunal is here with us. So once again a good episode, a good discussion in the space of e-commerce and quick commerce, because their company operates in the space of e-commerce and quick commerce, and when we talk to them you will come to know further what we are exactly talking about. तो हम लोग straight away उन पे जाएंगे, questions पूछेंगे उनसे, जानेंगे कि उनकी कंपनी क्या करती है और वो स्पेस को कैसे विजुअलाइज करते हैं. दिस इज अ गुड लर्निंग अपॉर्चुनिटी for a lot of entrepreneurs out there, because many people do connect with me to understand that whether we can take the leap of faith, when do we take the leap of faith, when do we feel that this is the right time. Probably a lot of those questions will be answered in today's video. We'll also know about their investment journey, about their journey of opening the company, how they left their jobs, came into this and made something big, or hustling out to make something big. So straight away, Kunal, man, I will go to you, hand over the baton. Tell us more about the company, Datavio. What is it about? What do you do? What is the space? What is the clientele base that you are handling? What kind of clients are you handling? And what is your exact value proposition about? If you can take us through the journey of the company and take us through your journey with the company. How has it been? If you can give us some brief.
Sure, that's great, Soumajit. So essentially at Datavio, what we are building is an agentic automation software for brands. The focus is heavily on retail and supply chain, right? Now when you start looking at brands playing across different platforms, you might be looking at very different kind of data systems which are present across each of them, and you have to monitor them across public channels as well as private channels, right? Which might be their own marketplace panels, it might be your logistics software, it might be your Google Sheets, etc. and whatnot. So the biggest problem that happens when you start looking at agentic automation for brands is that the context is often lost. The data models are very different across softwares. So at Datavio, what we do is we basically have built a workflow automation software with a bunch of dashboards that help brands to solve for revenue leakage or to help them increase sales across different channels that they're operating at. In terms of clientele, we are currently working with multiple major brands. These are also brands doing more than say 1,000, 2,000 crores odd of revenue annually. But then also smaller players who are doing less than 100 or 550 crores in general. That becomes our sweet spot. Any player who is on quick commerce becomes a good cost customer for us.
Fantastic. So what I understand is you are basically solving problems for your clients who are in the B2B segment. Like you are operating B2B and they would be operating direct to customer, or they would be serving the customers through the digital space, and you are basically giving them data to act upon, in a more structured manner for them to automate their workflows or strategize in a better way with that data. So fantastic to know that. Look, like, so just give me a brief about the background of the company. Like, how did you think about the company? How did you come up with the idea that this is what we want to do? This is the space where probably I want to belong, and basically take us through the journey of thinking about the company and then making that thought into execution. Because many of us think about a lot of ideas, but ultimately that doesn't get executed, right, at the end of the day. So wanted to know from you that how did you think through it and how did you actually make it happen?
That's an interesting journey, right? So we basically have been friends, very interested in scuba diving and stuff, met across different areas, but then had that chill of कुछ तो start करने वाला. तो I remember I used to discuss with Kunal कि भाई कुछ trading में पहले करते हैं, फिर करते करते we decided कि यार एक बार trading कर रखे हैं, उस पर continue नहीं करते, just more मजे के लिए आप अपने खुद से करो. So back then ONDC was starting off, so we somehow got inside. ONDC में चल के आया. तो हमारा पहला product was a market intelligence product. कि brands क्या कर रहे हैं, किस marketplace पे कैसे कर रहे हैं, क्या product बिक रहा है आपका. And back in the day, so this is while we were doing our jobs. तो हमारा जॉब चल रहा है, साथ में अपन अपना टाइम निकाल करके ऑफिस के साथ साथ रात में बैठ के काम कर रहे हैं, रिसर्च कर रहे हैं मार्केट.
Because this is when we decided कि यार मतलब we'll not leave our jobs until we'll create something of value to the
very,
customers.
Very thoughtful also, like basic sense, right? A lot of people, and I would like to tell the audience also, a lot of people make this mistake that you think of an idea and there are people, polarized people, right? One who thinks of the idea and never makes it happen. And they keep on thinking about it, and then there are people who think and just think that okay, tomorrow I will leave my job and just go about it. right? And I don't have a plan of action, but I will figure out. Maybe some of them will work out, but and you hear of the success stories mostly, but 99% of them might not work out. So you have to be a little more calculative. So for the audience also, you cannot be very passive, neither be too active that leave a very, very secure job and just go about it. But somewhere you need to balance and take the leap of faith. Yes, continue.
So yeah, that's a great point, right? So basically, when we left our jobs in April and May, but we had been working on this for like 6-7 months. इसके पहले से कुछ experiment कर रहे हैं, understanding कहाँ पे क्या हो सकता है. Changed our idea multiple times during that journey. Where we left our jobs. Interestingly, when we left our jobs, we were working on intelligence, which didn't get traction. We hustled in it for 1 year. And उसके बाद फिर we did a shift, right, on the agentic bit, जहाँ पर फिर we started getting traction and working with great customers back then. So if you ask about me how the journey has been, very, very ups and downs, right? Like we left our jobs, मचा देंगे, फिर नहीं मचा वहाँ पे initially, फिर इसका धीरे-धीरे we started realizing कि यार इधर मचाने का scope ज़्यादा है, and then we started focusing there. So it's a game of ups and downs, right? That's life.
So it's basically a pivot, and one more thing for the audience here. In a business, pivot is very important. You need to realize that when do we need to, you can be very fascinated about an idea and a product. Generally, founders are, because it's their baby. But then you need to realize, okay, there's a limitation. And probably I can do something that is very, very correlated to it, but not the exact thing that I was initially planning. Because this one has a better audience, a better traction, and a better chance of success. So you need to evaluate while you move and take that leap of faith along with a pivot. So from that, you told that you were, first scuba diving and then trading and lot of stuff, right? So for our audience as well, sometimes great friends ideate a lot and then end up doing something or end up not doing something. Sometimes ending up doing something and not ending up doing something great because you realize you don't have complementary skill sets, or there might be multiple factors, right? What do you think when you're looking for a co-founder, you are actually looking for, right? When in a friendship, if you are being founders, then what are you exactly looking for? How did you people come together to think that, okay, we should work together on an idea and make it happen, and both of us will leave our job and do something very, very interesting in the space and make it happen? Like how does that chemistry happen?
So,
how did it happen?
In our case, I would suggest that always start up with your friends. The reason being, start a journey of ups and downs, right? So whenever you are going through a rough patch, or let's say कुछ अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है, if you have friends as your co-founders, तो journey थोड़ी easy हो जाती है, right? And whenever you are hitting a bumpy road, right, there you can always rely on your friends. In terms of how you do this, like a co-founder, I would suggest look for complementary skills. For example, in my case, I have always been customer side sales and all. Mayank has been in product and tech, right? Mukul has been completely into tech. So that's how we have divided our role. Customers लाने का काम मेरा है. Mayank will take care of क्या लोग क्या बनाना है, इसको scale कैसे करें. Mukul will always like यार tech में हम और कैसे इसको optimize कर सकते हैं और वो कर सकते हैं. So I would always suggest कि always start up with your friends or look for complementary skills.
Fantastic. So just for your knowledge, Mukul is the third co-founder of the organization.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he was not able to join us physically here, but I'm pretty sure that he would be listening to all of this and feeling proud about what he has built and what he has been building. So fantastic insights, complementary skills I hear, and I hear that empathy, right? Empathy towards each other, understanding each other's journey, and having each other's back. That's what friendship is about fundamentally, and where it stems from is the belief that you can do something great together, right? Because you have done things in the past, not as significant maybe. आपने शायद कंपनीज नहीं बनाई है, बट आपने मेमोरीज बनाई है, एंड क्योंकि आपने मेमोरीज बनाई है, आप लोगों को इन्स एंड आउट्स पता है. अगर एक कहीं ना कहीं कमजोर पड़ जाता है तो दूसरा आदमी बोलता है नहीं भाई हो जाएगा.
एंड वो इकोसिस्टम भी थोड़ा सेफ बन जाता है फॉर द टीम एंड द कलीग्स एज वेल, कि अगर द को-फाउंडर्स आर फ्रेंड्स तो कुछ भी इशू आता है तो मतलब यार चल देख लेंगे और हो जाएगा मिलके. We can always rely.
Fantastic. So tell us something interesting about the fundraising journey, because see, most important, and I think the audience will be going bonkers over this, right? They have been thinking. In fact, I have been a person who have been thinking a lot that okay, we have an idea, I have a great idea. I know I can execute it. I might figure out a great team as well. Figuring out a co-founder is a very, very big deal, and then figuring out a team is a even bigger deal. But then comes investment, right? See. Why does this question stem out from? If you see a wave of entrepreneurship and wave of funding and all came in around 2018, 19, 20, 2021. And now that has started up. If you see companies are being devalued, Byju's has lost valuation. So kind of the investors are a little skeptical. They invested a lot and COVID came and entire market dynamics changed, habits changed. So even investors, while investing in a company, particularly in the pre-revenue stage, in the ideation stage, are a little skeptical. So founders out there who are trying to hustle their way through funding, which is one of the major challenges these founders face these days, how do they overcome it? What has been your funding journey and what has been the major learnings? Or when you started the company, along with funding, you would have faced other difficulties also. If you can take us through, I think it will be greatly insightful for the audience as well.
I think so. That is completely true, right? That the markets of 2020 and 21 were very flushed with liquidity, right? Which is why, if you see the revenue to valuation multiple, it was huge. You had companies which had 2-3 million revenue to add 100-200 million ka valuation, right? So this market correction was required, right? But that said, ideas are always cheap, execution is everything, right? So when we left our jobs, what people don't see is that 6 months we were hustling ki kahan pe the gaps are there. Now it's true that we have pivoted, but still that 6 months ka efforts count. So when we were going for the raise, number one, we were looking for a pre-seed raise. The idea is now at that stage we are looking at some basic sort of validation where the product might not be completely built, but you have some customers who said, "Ki boss, I want to pay for this," and that is what we had when we did the first fundraise. Right now, the second thing is obviously that you reach out to 100 investors, you will get reply from kuch, and then उनमें से 1-2 बंदे convert हो जाएंगे, right? I think so. That's why the second difference is between a fundraise and a sales is that sales में आपको problem solve करना है और आप fundraise करते आपको पैसे उठा के अपना problem solve करना है, right? Because उनका तो problem 5 साल 10 साल बाद solve होने वाला है when they make money out of you, right? So I think in terms of what our struggle had been, the first thing is कि because we were able to crack a very minimal revenue, to be frank, when we decided कि अभी fundraise का aspect देखते हैं, तो that was helpful for us. Second is कि you need to identify कौन सा investor हमारे लायक है, कि बहुत बार investors don't suit your thesis, right? Like I cannot go to a D2C investor saying, "Boss, I want investment in SaaS." Doesn't work that way. So that becomes the second aspect that you have to very carefully target investors. But the third major thing is कि boss, be ready for rejections, right? A lot of people end up rejecting you, but then the ones who convert are actually helpful. और जो पूरा I think see, for any startup ecosystem to evolve, it requires funds in the ecosystem, which is there in the market, and correction is required because that means the businesses which are building now are resilient कि they can eventually build it big, right? तो पहले के आपके जो businesses they were like filled with हवा, so to say, right? Which is again not bad. That is required. You need funds, but that said, you need some sort of positive economy, unit economics also that should make sense in the ecosystem, so that आप जितना बना रहे हो आप खुद को justify भी कर पाओ. तो initially आपका revenue to valuation multiple can be very low. ये आपका this becomes a curve, a bell-shaped curve sort of, right? Initially आपका कम है, you start showing validation, बढ़ जाएगा आपका because now you have to grow, and एक point पे जाके it will again shrink, right? Which is the right metric to follow. So I guess that is how we did our fundraise ka journey.
Fantastic. So, Mayank, Kunal, I just wanted to understand that you were doing a job, right? What I understand is initially you had a lot of struggles, and you kind of, when you entered also, you figured out, right, कि अरे ये तो मुश्किल हो रहा है. So fundamentally two things, right? One is when you entered, what made you take that leap of faith? Because you guys are from good institutes, I'm pretty sure you were doing good for yourself. What nudged you that okay, I should leave a high-paying job, because people are generally, getting a 1 lakh or a 1.5 lakh package, and people are running after that package thing, right? To make it big, make it bigger. But then to leave all of that and come into in a pool of uncertainty where you don't know that what you will going to end up with in the next 2-3 years, and maybe that phase is kind of continuing and going to continue for quite some time. What nudged you to come into this, first of all, to leave your secure jobs behind and come into this? And second is, how did you not manage to relax? Because when I now hear your story, you figured out that it is not working. The general fallback, for any founder is, okay, it's not working, let's go back. Let's work some more years and let's come back again with something else. But what made you believe that I should stick on? How did you get the team? How did you build the team and made them believe, okay, we can do it, right? Because one is, it is your product, your idea, you left your job, you believe in it. How did you find a team who believes in that, who does not, who may not have equity per se, but they believe in the vision as strong as you do, right? There are two parts to it. How did you manage to leave it on the first place, leave the job on the first place, then not fall back when you saw that things are not going well, it's not a lucrative segment, and how did you convince the others also to stick on?
Sure. So I think I can answer the first part. Team Mayank can answer. So in our case, हम दोनों को ही college से startup किया था. I had started and failed in college. Mayank has started after college and built in fintech, right? So for me, the major reason for the failure was not able to sell what we have built, right? So we had built fintech product in college, right? But हमारे पास customers नहीं थे pay करने के लिए. So I started कि यार चलो sales में सीखते हैं, because always the idea becomes कि यार ये सीख के हमें आगे startup ही करना है ना. That time I had not known, it was in 2018-19, right? So I learned sales, and जब हम start भी कर रहे थे तो we realized यार job में हम we are both earning good, right? But let's not कि यार इसके perks और benefits की वजह से ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि यार we don't start up. किसी को भी someone, मतलब this is for the audience also, someone who is starting, right? If you are working in a good job, don't be afraid of starting up, because तुम्हें ownership का level एकदम different है startup versus job में, right? When you are starting up, right, you would have to do entire thing end to end. For example, if you are in business or product side, right, you have to do customer interviews, build something, build prototype. उनको जाके तुम्हें उसका feedback लेना है, connect करना है, right? And you would have to improvise. अगर वो नहीं चला, you have to quickly pivot और तुम्हें दूसरी चीज बनानी पड़ेगी, again repeat the process. Finally, अगर ये तुम repeat करते रहोगे, you will reach to a point जहाँ पे you have built something valuable for the customers, and you'll I think वहाँ पे confidence insane level होता है. You will not be able to go back to the job thing. And so yeah, I would suggest कि don't be afraid of starting up. Start up, fail fast, and
repeat. So fantastic. Eat, sleep, repeat is a very popular T-shirt.
Yes.
I think just do it is one more popular tagline. So it's just do it, eat, sleep, repeat.
Yes.
Just do it, eat, sleep, repeat. So fantastic, and the team part. Coming to the team part, you were.
I think on the one side, to be honest, यहाँ पे so first thing, the team should know कि boss, you are joining a startup and not a set company, right? Which is why I'm grateful to the team there. That the team stayed even though ऊपर नीचे चल रहा था game अपना. Like we have a fantastic team of developers, sales folks, design, interns, etc. We have interns who would be working overnight, weekends वगैरह पे बंदे लगे, so that nothing should break, right? So I think we give too much preference to the founders, but then the team becomes more important because उनके बिना तो the team is done, right? But that said, the second aspect is, if you ask me, how did we not relapse back to our jobs, right? So एक aspect तो आपको बहुत interesting है, which is that luckily we had some cushion पीछे कि भाई अपन we could still live ठीक ठाक without the job, right? That was one lucky bit. Which I realized in previous starter हम कर रहे थे कि भाई थोड़ा सा गेम खराब हो, अभी पूरा घर पे आ जाऊंगा, घर पे डिपेंड होना पड़ेगा, but things don't work out, right? So I had to job anyways.
But you had built the cushion by the second time you.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons.
That's a very interesting learning also, right? कि you build a cushion and then I was telling that only at the beginning कि आप leap of faith लो, but एक cushion बना लो कि आपको पीछे ना जाना पड़े. You don't have to detract back. Yeah.
And so that's entirely fine, right? The second thing is that, see, when you are so pivot is a very difficult decision in the sense, right? Because you have that feeling कि यार ये एक चीज और try कर लेते हैं और ये शायद चल जाए, ये एक चीज और try कर ये शायद चल जाए, right? But then the point is that the point is not to pivot, right? The point is that अभी एक चीज और try कर सकते हैं. That mindset is very difficult to achieve, right? It means that भाई we have not lost the game. We have just found that we are looking for the right tactic to nail the game, right? It's like आपको क्रिकेट खेलना है तो फिर एक बॉल को खेलने के 10 तरीके हो सकता है, फिगर आउट करो कि कौन सा तरीका होगा, पहला नहीं हिट हुआ, दूसरे में डिफरेंट अटेम्प्ट लेते हैं, तीसरे में डिफरेंट अटेम्प्ट लेते हैं. The instant you lose कि यार ये वाला चीज भी मैं ट्राई कर सकता हूँ, once that idea is gone, right, कि अब क्या करें, वहाँ पे the startup mode makes sense. But the point is, until and unless you have that कि this is something which might make sense, तब जाकर के फिर तब तक गेम आप खेल सकते हो.
Fantastic. I think very important thing you told, that the game is not lost yet. If you have that conviction and if you manage to make the people believe and set the expectations correct, right? from day one that you are in this space, there are uncertainties. Set your expectations correct, team's expectations correct, and keep everybody on the same line and have a cushion. Most importantly, so that you can fall back on and you don't need to worry that okay, अभी क्या हो जाएगा, अभी अगर एक महीने में नहीं हुआ तो मेरा पर्सनल फाइनेंस रनवे खत्म हो रहा है. So that is a very important insight, I think. So moving a little outside the company perspective, I would come to the domain perspective that you are operating, right? It's a big thing. E-commerce, quick commerce, digital space बहुत fast grow कर रहा है, बहुत बड़ा होता जा रहा है. So the people are kind of concerned what next, because there is a lot of uncertainty. I am personally from the e-commerce space. That's why we keep on saying that every day is a new day, every day is a new learning. The moment you think you know, the next day you realize you don't, right? You go every day and there's no set pattern. Retail में अभी तक एक pattern आ गया है. Retail में लोगों को पता है हाँ customers ऐसे behave करते हैं. ये एक structure है. अगर कोई shopping mall बना रहा है तो mall का एक layout multiple times बन चुके हैं. But e-commerce में even platforms keep on experimenting with carousels कि इधर place कर देंगे तो customer कैसे click करेगा, कैसे behave करेगा. Because every time the customer comes in, I was reading an interesting article that was saying every time a customer comes to an e-commerce website or on a digital space, they themselves also do not have a pattern, which hence means that it is difficult to bind a pattern to a customer's behavior, and hence it is an emerging space. Every day you are learning something new. So आपको क्या लगता है in the space of e-commerce, quick commerce, what is there, what is the future, how big is it going to be, and what is your plan? How do you plan to bank in on that?
I think, so if I purely talk in terms of how the e-commerce and quick commerce space might grow, right? So now just in the past 2-3 years, right, post-COVID, we have started seeing that a lot of the orders for e-commerce giants are coming from tier 2 and tier 3, right? So for example, if you look at Flipkart versus Amazon का traffic और वो कहाँ से आ रहा है, तो you'll notice that a lot of their sales for Amazon is very popular in tier 1, but Flipkart is very popular in tier 2 and tier 3, right? But then दोनों का very similar GMV तो वो दोनों operate कर रहे हैं. So in that sense, when you look at purely e-commerce, so there's a lot to do there. And the biggest advantage of e-commerce is that you're not just limited to आपके neighborhood का किराना वाला क्या बेच रहा है, right? Or let's say supermarket क्या बेच रहा है. You have the entire catalog of
exposure and convenience.
Right, like I have seen very unique products in my hometown, right, which is basically a very small town village, and वहाँ पे I've seen very random products that they have ordered online. That's it. There's a lot of scope for e-commerce expansion. आप अगर quick commerce की बात करते हो, तो people love convenience, right? And that's basically what. So quick commerce is also supposed to rise. I think how it grows is going to be something that we see, because this model is very popular, running well only in India right now, and थोड़ा सा भी UAE वगैरह में start हुआ. I think I was recently talking to someone who was looking for noon minutes as one of the integrations into the platform, right? So again, they are experimenting. So quick commerce is a very interesting story, and we'll see how this goes. But I think if you look at the core facet, so the core idea is that convenience is something that people like. Quick commerce helps with convenience. So there's a lot of potential there to increase. And I think every industry is regularly changing, right? Data is critical, because the only reason they're able to experiment so fast is because different kind of customers visit the apps regularly, and then they can identify patterns and stuff. So I think for us, it's going to be great in that sense, because that's what we help with. In India, unlike say the Western counterparts right now, that people are not so willing to use data very well. Like almost everything that happens on Excel, जहाँ पे you are looking at a mess of Excel sheets everywhere, right? तब data analysis कितना ही करोगे, data आपका 10 जगह पे टूटा हुआ है, there is no way to standardize and stuff. तो वहाँ पे we see a lot of value coming in, and then that's where आपका second वाला wave आ जाता है, right? Which is the entire LLM space that has come up. It has made data analysis a lot more easier. You combine them, and then you have a lot of value that can be driven from the data that brands can utilize to scale up.
Fantastic. I think great insights. Again, I think what I hear you saying is quick commerce is a little uncertain, little quick in India, and the world is yet to see much of it. I hear you saying that a lot of data crunching, a lot of data representation, and ease of handling data is something that is going to play in the upcoming time. What do you see, Mayank, Kunal, as the space? Like, if I have to tell you that, how do you see your company 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years down the line? What are you going to do? How are you going to reap benefits out of it? You told one of the things that.
I think, so in terms of what we want to do, our focus is, so e-commerce and quick commerce becomes an entry point, but then our focus is more, how can we use automation across for retail and supply chain, right? So in the long term, let's say the next 4-5 years, we would rather be focused more on how can you use this entire workflow approach and agentic automation for other traditional uses, right? Like for example, you have to organize your modern trade, you have to look into general trade as well, you have to also look into how procurement happens, how distributors manage करना. You can build very simple workflows around all those scenarios, right? So for us, in the long term vision, the goal is how can we crack agentic automation for retail and supply chain. And brands say entry point becomes, and quick commerce also becomes an entry point. और फिर वहाँ से भी slowly figure out कहाँ
So just to add here, so basically we see a lot of customers spending a lot of time on manual processes, right? Collecting a lot of data from different marketplaces, right? Creating reports out of this, like sending the PO reports to different vendors and all, right? So brands, they are spending a lot of time in data extraction rather than taking decisions. So this is what we are trying to solve first, and then slowly move
Fantastic. I think a lot of time in our company is also given to that. Which I have been, voicing out very clearly that these should be automated processes, because team then can focus on other things, and that's why internally also we have been figuring out Python codes on how to automate stuff and all. I think it's a wave that's coming everywhere, and probably companies like Datavio can definitely amp up the game there. So fantastic vision in that sense, I would say. I recently was, before coming to this podcast only, I was seeing one video by Adobe. There's this channel called Overpowered AI, and it's by Tanmay Bhatt, the AIB creator. So he is now doing Overpowered AI, and he was saying that, he was discussing that Adobe recently launched a marketing automation tool. So what it does is, if you give them inputs, market inputs, that this is the market that is targeting, it will segment that market, create the messages automatically, create the creatives automatically, create your campaigns automatically, and tell you, hey boss, you post this on social media, your game is done. I think fantastic tool, right? It is groundbreaking. So what is up for take is fantastic. I see a world where there will be a lot of time going in strategic decision making, and a lot of time people being freed from these activities which can be automated by tools. It will be an enabler. It was fantastic. So last question probably that I want to end up with, and probably we have touched it in bits and pieces in our conversation throughout. I would like to know that, when does an entrepreneur know? Because many want to do entrepreneurship, but when does an entrepreneur know that this is it, this is the product, this is the solution that will revolutionize the market? Because I will always believe in my ideas. How will I get that validation? How do I know that this is the point where I should take the leap of faith? Many are afraid to lose their jobs. Many are afraid that पैसा नहीं है घर में, कैसे आएगा? Profit, जब तक मेरा profit share या मेरा share कंपनी में उस लेवल पे जाएगा कि मैं अपना जो अभी पैसा कमा रहा हूँ वो कमा पाऊँ. That is a long-fetched idea. Do I have it in me to survive? Does this idea have it in itself to survive that long? And a lot of validation seeking, right? How do you feel an entrepreneur just knows that, hey, this is the right time? Let's take the leap of faith. Let's do it. How does one know?
I think I'll start in Mayank even also. So there are no perfect set of rules कि यार ऐसा करोगे तो हो जाएगा. I would say कि we should not be afraid of building something of value. Always focus on always be close to the customers, उनकी क्या pain points है, उनकी life में कैसे हम problem solve कर सकते हैं by building something, right? Once you build something, if you see this is scalable, है ना, you can replicate the same thing to multiple users, right? Then something it's a positive signal for you, है ना, कि चलो इस direction में we are moving in the right direction, right? Whenever you see हमने कुछ build किया but customers are coming and getting churned, right? Then that is something तुमने value create की, but this is not a recurrent value for the customers. So I would suggest कि just keep same cheese, keep building, fail fast, and iterate and improvise. You will always, but if you stay close to the customer, you will always reach to something which is of value, and the customers will pay you for it.
us?
I think one thing I'll add here is that it is not a function of idea, but rather function of time. Because I don't think most of the cases the first idea was always rarely successful, right? You may start ki boss, this is like the best insight, ये तो मतलब मैं चाहिए, it never works out. And भाई पापा ने जब start करा था, right? We thought कि भाई ये तो मतलब कुछ अपने को अलग ही ज्ञान
ऐसे 2-3 बार हमें फील हुआ था ये अब this is going to be
work out, right? तो मतलब it's not a function of कि भाई आपकी idea is epic, it is more की function of आप कितने time हासिल कर सकते हो without giving up, right? Like for example, when you're leaving a job, you're calculating at the back of the head कि boss इतना मेरे पास runway, personal runway, इसका runway, और फिर now you are playing against time, right? Not against idea कि भाई अभी मुझे इस time में I have to figure out the right thing, I have to figure out this. If you have more cushion, you can extend the time, right? I can play for 2 years without any issues. Then कब मेरे को 3 महीने बाद ही मेरे लग जाएंगे कि भाई अब मुझे जॉब चाहिए. तो it's not about that, it's more about कि आप कितना कर सकते हो. It's also कि भाई अब मेरा मान लीजिए living standard बहुत बढ़ गया, तो आपका living standard गिर जाता है, right? Like I remember back in the day, हर महीने I would be somewhere else कि भाई अभी बोर हो गया, working from किसी random जगह से 1 हफ्ते काम कर रहे, and that doesn't happen anymore, right? Because they have to convince that it's a function of idea, not an idea, but rather time. This time.
Fantastically quoted, I think, and most importantly, you should have conviction and belief. Right? If you believe that you will crack it, probably you will after 8, 9, 10 attempts, right? But you will do it. And Boat's founder, classic example. I think Boat, everybody knows of the success. Aman Gupta, 9 attempts it took for Naman to create Boat. He did 8 unsuccessful startups before that. And I felt that today I read one interesting quote by Nathan Kamath. He was telling that a great entrepreneur or a great founder is not one who ideates and executes very well, but one who keeps calm in situations where things are not working, projects are not coming, things are not happening, and yet you stay calm, you pivot at the correct time, and you take the right calls. So that was it. I think fantastic interaction. I think very, very insightful. And the work that you people are doing at Datavio, I think is going to be groundbreaking. So if somebody is seeing this channel, is interested to learn more, please visit their website. I will drop a link of their website in the description. We will also tag in the founders of the organization, Mayank, Mukul and Kunal. You can get in touch with them. I think they will be more than happy to help you in your journey if you are looking for something. And you can always get in touch with me. I can help you get in touch with them. And if you have some good projects, please do come discuss with them. Good ideas, discuss with them. I think they are fantastic people and they are doing a fantastic and fabulous job. Well done, folks. I think brilliant work you people are doing.
Thank you so much for having us here.
So yeah, glad. Pleasure is all mine. So that was it from our side for today. We will keep on bringing more experts like this, more founders, more technical experts on this channel. That was it from our side. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.